Today, I'm going to make the case for social media. It's very popular these days to hate on social media, to hate on Facebook, saying it's causing the destruction of mankind. And there's probably some truth to that. The Social Dilemma came out pretty recently, and I think it showed a pretty bright light onto how social media can definitely be negatively impacting our lives. And I definitely agree that social media can have a very detrimental impact on our mental, physical well being, even. But today I'm going to make some cases why social media is actually a good thing. And I think we forget that there is a lot of positives to having access to these platforms too. One obvious one is that even though we may spend too much time on it, it does do a good job of keeping us loosely connected. Now, I don't think that it should be our only form of connection to our friends and family. Obviously, nothing can take the place of real face-to-face communication. But in terms of staying at least loosely connected to some people that we might otherwise lose touch with, I think it does a pretty amazing job. And I don't think there's ever been anything else like it that allows us to keep, again, these loose connections to people that if it wasn't for, maintaining a friends list on Facebook, you may lose touch with these people. And, who knows, maybe years down the line, somebody that you wouldn't normally have been able to keep in touch with, you might be able to reach out to them because of one thing or another and meet back up and start a friendship again, or spend some time again together. That, again, if you didn't have that Facebook friend connection, you wouldn't have been able to meet them. And so I think that's a good thing, because it keeps people in our lives that hopefully sometime down the line we'll actually be able to spend time with in person and keep that friendship going. Another thing is that I learn a lot from YouTube, especially. And I think that, I've probably learned maybe more from YouTube than I ever did in my short stint in college. And that's probably says more about me as a college student than it does about the college system. But the fact that I can just open up YouTube and I can pretty much learn about anything I want. Now, obviously, we have to put filters on where we're getting this education from. Just like with anything, there's good sources and bad sources. So you have to be pretty smart you have to be smart in where you're getting your information from. But the fact that I have access to literally the whole of human knowledge at my fingertips via YouTube, and I've heard that people learn things from TikTok or Pinterest. I don't ever use those platforms, but I've heard they're good for learning different things. But that's a thing that is very new in human history. And of course, we've had things like books and magazines and other ways of communicating and educating people, but never to this degree and never with this degree of speed. I mean, I can just go on YouTube and with a few types of my keys, I can learn how to bake a cake or fix a car or whatever. I think we kind of forget how amazing that is. We never had this in human history. It always took way more effort to learn something. Now, for good or bad, we can all basically learn about whatever we want at any time. And so I think one reason we struggle with this new technology is because it is a brand new technology in human history. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had similar stages of, maybe misusing new technologies or having this technology feel like it's going to be the end of civilization. Probably at the beginning of books, when books were a brand new thing and the printing press was a new thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the older generation was saying like, oh, this is going to be the downfall of society. Now anybody can read a book, and we're going to have people with too much knowledge that shouldn't have knowledge, and just watch, this is going to be a bad thing. But I think we all agree that having books is a good thing. Probably the same thing with radio and television. When those new technologies came on the scene, I'm willing to bet that older generations that didn't grow up with them were probably like, this is a terrible idea. This is rotting the kids' brains and, this and that. And I think we're going through this very similar transition period with social media and the internet. Like, this is still very new in human history. Even though people are growing up with it, they haven't known any other way. We're still all kind of learning to adapt. And so where it probably took people 100 years or so to adapt to books being being able to be accessed by anybody, and television and radio being easily accessed by everybody, we're going through this very new transition where we're learning to use this technology, and of course there's going to be misuse and there's going to be downsides, but I actually think there is just as many, if not more, upsides. It's just going to take us some time to learn how to not let it control our lives. You know, there's probably people that were spending way too much time, actually there still is people spending way too much time staring at the television. Now people complain about spending too much time staring at their phones. It's just innate in us. We love entertainment, we love to be distracted, and now we have the biggest entertainment device with us at all times. I think eventually we'll learn how to manage and deal with it, but right now it's still new, and right now we're pretty much all addicted to it. But eventually, I think whether this generation or the next, or maybe the one after that, it'll just be a much more standard part of living, and it's not going to feel like such an intrusive addiction that we all have. So social media can definitely be harmful, I think, in a lot of ways, but without it, I think the world would not be in as good of a place. We just have to learn how to use it like any tool appropriately and not let it control our lives. So that's all I got for this video. I will see you in the next one.